A future king looks back at the most public breakup of the modern era and quietly draws a line through it, promising he will not raise his children inside the same storm that swallowed his own childhood. That is the substance buried inside Prince William's candid conversation with Eugene Levi, where he admits that the warmth and security of his early years were real and then suddenly not, replaced by a divorce that arrived when he was 14 and a level of tabloid intrusion that turned family life into a spectator sport. What matters now, he says, is the house he builds, a home where warmth, safety, security, love are not decorative words but non-negotiable architecture, the invisible walls that hold under pressure, the rules that refuse to let chaos define childhood. Read the sentence that unlocks the rest. You take that and you learn from it and you try and make sure you don't do the same mistakes as your parents, because it is not a jab at the past but a blueprint for the present. Fewer secrets, more honesty. Fewer staged moments, more kitchen table time. Fewer rehearsed smiles, more boundaries with bite. If the Windsor story has taught him anything, it's that palaces do not protect children from adult decisions and cameras do not love you back. So he sets the safeguards early and repeats them often, even in small things that look quaint to outsiders. No phones for the kids at the dinner table is not a technophobic gesture, it's a firewall around attention. Because attention is what binds families and attention is what the outside world keeps trying to buy. The dinner rule matters because ritual matters. A shared table at a consistent hour, the ordinary conversation that, over time, becomes a map of safety, a place where feelings are spoken before they turn into storms. The vow not to repeat is not about pretending the crown lives in a bubble but about building a routine so steady that the weather can rage and the interior still holds. He knows the template he rejects. A marriage launched with trumpets then drowned by a triangle, a decade where the country became a chorus and the home became a corridor, the cameras pressed so close that even silence made a sound. He does not rehearse the pain, he's done that before the world already, but he draws one lesson cleanly. Unspecified drama and stress when you're small really affects you when you're older. So the job is to remove unnecessary drama, shrink unavoidable stress, and never use the children as mediators for adult discomfort. Watch how the themes braid. Love as practice, not performance. Security as predictable rhythms, not reinforced gates. Warmth as the tone of daily life, not a holiday photograph. And always, always the boundary. If you let that creep in, the insatiable appetite for detail will eat not just privacy but trust, and therefore the future. He has no appetite for a sequel, so he edits the script at the source, questioning traditions that turn pain into plot, redesigning engagements so that the public gets what it deserves: service, visibility, accountability, without turning the family into a 24-hour feed. This is why the small lines matter so much. When he says the phones are away, he's telling you the hierarchy of loyalty. When he says the table is for talking, he's showing you the method that outlasts noise. When he says he will not make the same mistakes, he's revealing the operating system of a marriage that runs on partnership rather than performance, and a fatherhood that refuses to burden young shoulders with adult shadows. There is, too, the unspoken grammar of grief shaping the vow. He lost his mother at 15, and the speed with which history can erase a tomorrow is not theoretical to him. So he invests in the kind of present that children remember as warmth even when the headlines are cold. School runs done by dad when he can, sports days where the cheer is real, bedtimes that arrive on time because predictability is a sedative for small hearts. The outside world will argue about politics and personalities, but inside the house the rules are boring on purpose, because boring is what stability feels like when you haven't had enough of it. None of this is anti-royal, it is, in fact, a defense of the crown at its most honest. Institutions survive when the people inside them are allowed to be human, and he's building a human-first household on royal ground. That means less mythology, more maintenance, less balcony, more boundary. He also acknowledges the thing that can't be outsourced. Protection is not only armored cars and careful routes, it is guarding the tone of conversation, the pace of days, the number of decisions a child has to make before breakfast. It is telling the truth in age-appropriate sentences and never letting a tabloid headline be the first teacher. The Levi interview is gentle, but the subtext is steel. He will welcome scrutiny of his public work and reject intrusion into his private kitchen. He will accept that a future king owes the nation visibility and insist that a father owes his kids invisibility when necessary. Some will want the old script back, the one where the world is invited everywhere and love becomes content, but he has seen the invoice for that fantasy, and he won't pay it. The no phones rule becomes a philosophy. Fewer lenses between faces, more eye contact, fewer alerts, more listening. A shared meal where a 10-year-old story is not paused for a push notification, and when the day is heavy, the table becomes the pressure valve, a place to name the feeling and reduce its power, to learn that you can be worried without being lost, to practice the ordinary courage of going to sleep with questions and still waking up to breakfast. He is not promising a fairytale marriage, he is promising to do the work, quiet, repetitive, unfashionable work of protecting love from spectacle. That means designing weekends instead of letting chaos write them, scheduling blank space instead of proving worth with exhaustion, and holding a line that says no one with a camera outranks a child with a story. Critics will say that privacy is privilege, but William's argument is more practical. Privacy is oxygen, and families suffocate without it. He remembers the era when his mother could not walk down a street without a chorus. The way details became currency, the way mercy became rare, and he vows to swap the currency back to grace at the door. The shadow of Charles and Diana's marriage is not a curse here but a set of road signs. Communication that arrives late is sabotage. Silence that masquerades as stoicism is a wall kids have to climb. Proximity without presence is a trick that fools no one under the age of 9. He answers each with the inverse: talk sooner, soften sooner, show up first. He isn't naive about pressure. He knows that inside a constitutional role, time is not fully his own, but he also knows the mathematics of damage. 5 undisturbed dinners can repair a week of noise, and 1 open conversation can undo a month of guesswork. If you are searching for the radical part of his vow, it is hidden in the ordinariness. A royal household that treats normal as sacred rather than dull. A father who sees bedtime not as a task but as a promise. A husband who understands that partnership is not a photo but a calendar built for 2. A leader who believes that the next era of the monarchy depends less on mystique than on competence and care. And yes, he is learning in public, adjusting what the institution asks of its senior members so that families don't break to meet the quota. The world will always want more access, more angles, more confession. He's betting that what actually keeps public trust is something else, results in the work, and evidence at home that he can protect the vulnerable. Maybe that's why his tone with Levi is so calm. He is not selling a brand, he is explaining a boundary. No repeat does not mean no conflict, no fatigue, no missteps. It means when pressure rises, he will not outsource balance to luck, he will reach for the boring tools that work: routine, empathy, conversation, rest, love that is recognizable to the people living it, not performative for the people watching it. And if you listen past the headlines, you can hear a message to anyone who grew up inside someone else's chaos. You are allowed to redesign the house. You are allowed to change the rules. You are allowed to take what was good, name what was not, and build something kinder. That is how a child of history becomes a parent of the future, by refusing the rerun, by setting the table, by turning the volume down inside the walls even when the world outside is loud. And that is why this quiet vow matters more than any balcony moment. It suggests the next generation of the crown will be raised in rooms where love is not a press event but a pattern, where safety is not a speech but a schedule, where no repeat is not defiance but devotion, to a marriage that is a partnership, to children who are children, and to a public that deserves leaders who know how to keep the most important promises at home.